Corruption is a vile disease that sucks and drains the health out of something good. Corruption in society is an evil moral infection that keeps community in the state of perpetual sickness. Corruption is a moral virus. It's so potent, it leaves its host sick, lethargic, and unable to realize and accomplish all that a well person can. Where corruption thrives, poverty and not prosperity thrives. Wealth is grabbed into the greedy, grubby hands of those who get fat on the toil and labor of good people. Corruption benefits only temporarily those who participate in it. Everyone else is a victim of the theft, the deceit, the dishonesty, and the lies that corruption feeds on. You need to know that a corrupt person is stealing from you. Corruption is filthy work and despicable acts of treachery done under the table and behind closed doors. Corruption is a disgusting shame. Corruption keeps a nation back from true development and from progress. Wise investors steer clear of a corrupt environment. They would rather put their resources into a place where the playing field of opportunity is equal for all and not bent towards feeding the financial lust of corrupt, lying, cheating, thieving politicians and government officials. How many wonderful development projects have been lost because the investors didn't want to do business in a swamp of evil? When those great projects go to another nation or to some other place, we all lose. Believe me when I tell you that corruption steals from you, it steals from all of us. Corruption plunders the nation's wealth. Corrupt people compromise on truth, equity, and fairness, choosing instead to feed off the short-term benefits of crookedness, exploitation, and financial perversion. Corruption is not just a personal matter, it's a culture. It's a way of life, not just for individual people, but for companies, communities, governments, and nations. Corrupt nations, hiding behind large companies, will seek to invest in other weak nations in order to take over the assets of the nation that they've invested into. They will provide financial loans to a nation for the much needed infrastructure, and they will do it with assets that they provide. They will sign contracts by lining the pockets of rotten government officials who participate in this kind of corruption and are then held hostage by their own deceit and greed. Corruption is nothing less than a form of theft and national robbery. A corrupt person steals from everyone in society.
For me again, you can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't for me again.
What we gonna eat no money, what we at you, eat no at you. Go be money, miss away in the yellow correct you. Use the youth, the money, waste for most of man to start you. Say me like a catch you, but me got enough to got you. Take this spit of money, got and say that is not you. One day the man above me up him, I got up. Too much eating at the kitchen, some a fly by like a patu. The singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me.
300%
It burn me.
Garbage pile of the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them
It
raise.
burn me.
I see corruption face.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't for me again.
For me say big up all the charities and all of the givers. Some a go like say them powerful, me know me got bigger. The 100 the promises, none of them not deliver. Cut up the youth, they rap and they down in our fever. Member bold money and they lie them tell. Corruption smell and they pocket them swell. When police dog a market like Satan out of hell, go mash up people start like thief when them sell.
It burn me.
Or they treat the market man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the cat man.
It burn me.
Or they treat the peanut man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the dirt man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat the sun man.
It burn me.
Or them a treat policeman.
It burn me.
Or them a treat soldier man.
It burn me.
How them a treat everyone.
Can't for me again. You can't for me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scandal, we can't buy time. You can't for me again. Can't for me again. You can't.
Good evening, and welcome to the People's Point of View. I know I'm a bit early. I feel the illness coming on. I just drank some Stone Crusher just now. And no, not the Horace Chang gangster Stone Crusher. I'm talking about the Bush Stone Crusher. I tend to like bitter things, but why Stone Crusher bitter? Oh, it's bitter. Stone Crusher bitter. Yes, it's bitter. I do have a lot of bitter stuff, such as aloe vera, and I'm generally not afraid of bitter stuff, but Stone Crusher bitter. Oh my days. Anyway, good evening. How all on do? How all on do? If I say me have to run left a Stone Crusher I make me feel unwell. But as I when me take certain bitters or cleanse or wash out and it go work, it give me a sick feeling first. So may I make sure me first the illness before the cold sweat comes on. But how is everybody doing this evening? Thank you all for being here. Welcome, one and all. Like and share the live for me, please. I see the whole media apparatus the whole media apparatus is out. The JLP media apparatus we're talking about. They're just singing and dancing, never mind the ones over Twitter, pulling out their hair, rolling in the muddy hog pen or the shritey hog pen that the Jamaica Labour is out in full swing. Whether it be Granny Sus over there, Auntie Daisy from over CVM, they call him George Davis, or the writers of The Observer, they're all out. I mean, it's a field day for distraction. If you're following the brouhaha, never mind the tyrant Twitter, the distraction on TikTok. But at the end of it all, one thing remains at the forefront of everyone's mind, that the Prime Minister is a corrupt leader. The Prime Minister is a crook. The Prime Minister has always been under investigation. It is the second time the Prime Minister is being for prosecution, though Paula and Keisha, the blockers of justice, are always there to bail the Prime Minister out. Doesn't the JLP Media Caucus, those wallower over Twitter and TikTok, doesn't change that the Prime Minister is a crook. Doesn't change that the Prime Minister is always caught out in shady dealings, from Minister of Education to Prime Minister. A litany of stealing under this Prime Minister's watch. No amount of distraction you all throw at us is ever going to steer the narrative. Minister is a crooked man. And that you don't want to distract us from, When Prime Minister say now work, Prime Minister we're committing troops to Haiti. We don't want to hear about it. You commit them at Mobile, you commit them at Augustown, you commit them at Denham Town. Where haven't you commit them in Jamaica? Have they work? Why you think we would waste that? We want to talk about your bank accounts. We want to talk about the amount of money that may have passed through those bank accounts in your lifetime, in the bank account life cycle. And if the zigzag over nationwide is true, the argument that you're only on those accounts as an emergency contact does not match up with the investigation that IC has launched. If they went to the point of getting expert for less than $500,000 Jamaican dollars, that would be a waste of taxpayer. It would be a waste of taxpayers' money if the IC takes taxpayer money, hire forensic expert to investigate less than $500,000. I wouldn't want my taxpayers' money to go to waste like that. Some things that they would be digging for. But Holness is known to get the whole family involved in a criminal galanging, is it not? Holness son them not did involve in the scam when child with the property them and all of them something there. I think it's changed to us, Prime Minister, that your mother is in as well, and one of your father. Your mother is in on it. One of your father, Prime Minister, is in on it. I would assume the Holness father and not the Bramwell father, is it? But it's nothing strange. The Prime Minister always gets his family involved in his corruptions and schemes. Has he not brought his sons in even before they became a majority age 18, they would say? So it's nothing new and it's nothing strange. It's the Prime Minister regular scams and schemes. But we want to know Andrew Holness. We don't want to know how much troop you send at Haiti. It's not important to us. What we want to know is how long have these bank accounts been open? Were they in operation when you were at the Ministry of Education, or these bank accounts were open since you became Prime Minister? And how much money has moved through those accounts over the life cycle? We also want to know, Prime Minister, if you own any property in your mother name. Because like how she get involved in the crime now, Prime Minister. She's open to social media scrutiny and investigation. Member, are you drawing there? You know? Hmm? That's the issue, ladybug. But then again, when you want thief, you will gather, mother, gather, innit? Gather crowd for thief, Prime Minister, gather crowd for thief. The Prime Minister and Cliff them and CVM them are come out here and talk about leaks. This is one of the other destructive narrative with the Jamaica Labour Party and the medias. Them claim to say the People's National Party, KTM, how you do? The People's National Party have source inside the IC. But the intricacies of the report that we're hearing about are coming from the JLP media. Given that the report, a copy of the report, was handed for the wife of the Prime Minister, the Speaker of the House. And Andrew Holness get a copy of the report. Cliff and George Mout just a fly so. If and George can tell you we're in there, how much money, how much this, that. Let's see the report. Because if what they are saying is true, I have questions for the integrity, would be quite discontent with them spending taxpayer money over foolishness. Because you can't flog somebody for money laundering on an account that their name is just there as an emergency contact. You don't have to know that contact on an account. If that is the case, I wouldn't see the need for the investigation. Is that the fact, or is this JLP and JLP media? When a case and carry the report come, we want to see it through itself. George Davis and the Observer to come out here and muddy the water and put their own spin on it before we know the details of the report. However, they cannot give you some fine details, but still they are the same ones that's talking about leak. I don't know what planet the JLP, its supporters, and its media caucus is on. Really don't know which planet them depend. If them can still at them an eavesdrop and attack things out, and at the same time they're saying round a corner there so them attack too. So who far round a corner JLP media attack to no? Who from round a corner attack to Uno? So Uno can get to know so much details of the report. Because Uno claim to say, and the PNP them have source in the IC that is leaking. But really, the information come across are coming from you, the same people. So who in the People's National Party is giving information? The JLP media. You're all putting narrative out there to defend the Prime Minister. You're all blaming the People's National Party and the IC. But Uno must can't talk who are telling the things them because Uno are tell we in the public, you know. It's not like we're here if I'm PNP and then Uno come and a quarrel. Uno and then tell us say somebody else leak it out. I don't think the JLP supporters and bloggers stop to really listen to themselves when they try to defend the indefensible. There's nothing about the Prime Minister that you can defend at the moment when it comes lack of integrity, lack of accountability, and lack of transparency. It's quite documented. Tons and tons of people have to resign from around the Prime Minister because of stealing. Lots of them. Whether it be from his ministers to bureaucrats and technocrats. In ministries, he appoints ministers too. It's a free for all. It's a field day for thieves. Andrew Holness has run the country based on a looting and shooting mechanism. Just look at what Nigel Clark has done. Look at what Nigel Clark has done. How much Nigel Clark enriched even the PNP them to keep them quiet. He enriched the House of Parliament to keep them quiet. And civil servants out there can barely survive on their monthly salary. To the point where they're asking Nigel to bring closure to the pay review, the pay review before Nigel goes. But what will be an offer to them? Will they be forced to take it or leave it? Or if you don't take this now, you won't have anything for the next 3 years? Since we found out that Nigel Clark in the last report tabled, since we find out that Nigel Clark is ditching out millions to another member of parliament, Norman Dunn, the empty building, the tax administration, what them not using. Nigel Clark, as well as stitching up the budget, Nigel Clark really haven't faced us. Nigel Clark has been all over the place avoiding us. And now we wake up to hear, say, Nigel Clark has been promoted because of his excellency. Excellent in destroying economy. Because that's what Nigel is excellent at. Because you can't left an economy 1.7 trillion unaccounted for and say that you have done well. Where, Mr. Clark? And to top it off, we hear to the Prime Minister and Warrell Reid a sail in the same boat. Account in your driver name, account in your helper name, account in the go-go dancer name, account in the farmer name, account in the bonnerman name, a sort of account. I wonder if the Prime Minister would be caught out by NIDS though, because they might push NIDS firmly. Because even up to today, Pernell Charles I tell Jamaica people, it would be so good, easy, and straightforward. And this is me paraphrasing. It would be so good, easy, and straightforward if we all have NIDS. Because oopsie daisy, Babsy Riley, you could just find and identify everybody in the system, and it would be easy for him for this and thief and all of that. I don't know if your father and how much hundreds of acres of land he's stolen would have got caught by NIDS. I really don't know, Mr. Charles. Really don't know. But you know, distract with Prime Minister. Let's listen Cliff and George propaganda. Because the two of them make them and the Prime Minister sit down. Those who visit the party of the 31st of December annual, Cliff's annual 31st Bangarang. Let's listen to the visitors.
Our sources close to the Commission say on August 30 this year, its Director of Investigations, Kevin Stevenson, recommended that consideration be given to charging the Prime Minister for the monies located in 4 accounts at Scotiabank belonging to his father, mother, and a former constituency office manager. 2 of the accounts belong to his mother. 1 belongs to his father, and the other to the former constituency office manager. At the time of the probe by the Integrity Commission, the first account for his mother held a balance of approximately 300,000 Jamaican dollars. The second account for his mother had a balance of 67,000 Jamaican dollars. His father's account had 11,000 Jamaican dollars, while his constituency office manager's account had $823. In total, the 4 accounts red flagged by the Commission held a balance of $384,130. That's Jamaican dollars. The Prime Minister told the Commission he had no personal knowledge of the funds in the 4 accounts. He told the Commission that his name was added to the bank accounts as an emergency contact and he had no direct interaction or knowledge of monies in the accounts. The Director of Investigation recommended that Holness be charged by way of omission for making a false declaration to the Commission. But a few days later, on September 2 this year, the Director of Corruption Prosecution, Keisha Prince Kamika, said no. She ruled that the Director of Investigations had not presented a strong enough case to support his recommendation for the Prime Minister to be charged. Prince Kamika says while Holness had a duty to declare the sums, there was not enough evidence to support a criminal charge for intentionally omitting to do so. Prince Kamika wrote, quote, "In light of the foregoing, there is insufficient evidence on file to establish that the Honourable Prime Minister, by way of omission, made a false statement in his statutory declarations for the period ending December 31, 2021, as it relates to the BNS savings accounts. Accordingly, no charges."
George Davis, you are quoting Keisha. You are quoting Keisha, are you not? You quoted her. Meaning you're not speculating, aren't you? Remember, so we copy this out. You know, so even if we don't use on an erase and rub it out, we copy it out already. You said, and I quote, meaning you would have a physical or soft copy of the document. A physical hard copy would be the paper physically held in your hand. A soft copy would be an email, a screenshot, a Photoshop, something of the sort. Which version were you quoting from? Because Uno said, bear in mind that Uno said somebody in the IC is leaking to the People's National Party. Who, George Davis, from the People's National Party, gave you a copy of the report that you were quoting the director of corruption prosecution from? Hmm? You quoted her.
Was not enough evidence to support a criminal charge for indirect interaction or knowledge of monies in the accounts. The Director of Investigation recommended that Holness be charged by way of omission for making a false declaration to the Commission. But a few days later, on September 2 this year, the Director of Corruption Prosecution, Keisha Prince Kamika, said no. She ruled that the Director of Investigations had not presented a strong enough case to support his recommendation for the Prime Minister to be charged. Prince Kamika says while Holness had a duty to declare the sums, there was not enough evidence to support a criminal charge for intentionally omitting to do so. Prince Kamika wrote, quote, "In light of the foregoing, there is insufficient evidence on file to establish that the Honourable Prime Minister, by way of omission, made a false statement in his statutory declarations for the period ending December 31, 2021, as it relates to the BNS savings accounts. Accordingly, no charges are to be laid." End quote. Our sources say the Director of Corruption Prosecution supported.
Who is that source? Is that source from the IC or from the JLP? Your source that you spoke about, George Davis, can you say the IC a tip off PNP? No? Who tipped you off? Because apparently, George Davis, you get more information than the PNP them, you know. Because it said you can quote the Director of Corruption Prosecution. So you have to be reading from a document. Who sent that document to you? And if there's an investigation where they hold on, JLP, Wally was calling for, who do you think ought to be investigated? Who do you think ought to be investigated? And where do you think the acts will fall based on the information that Nationwide and CVM has provided? Because you work for the two of them in a charge. You work for both Nationwide and CVM. I see Zara Burton in the press conference today representing writers. Why Holness must nearly piss up himself when he says Zara, but I hope when the report comes out, there may be a press conference where Zara Burton can get fiddy and I ask Holness few questions. Just maybe. Dear Peter K, you're at it again. There's no fighting chance, Vegas. There's nothing to defend here. Like literally. I noticed the day after, a few days ago, you called for an investigation in the IC and the leaks and all of that. Do you all still want that investigation? Given the amount of number, the amount of information that has been put out by the JLP mouthpiece, do you all really still want that investigation? Do you think somebody from the People's National Party tipped off Cliff Hughes and George Davis? I don't see how one can defend the Prime Minister on this one. We not try hard. The distraction turn up. The propaganda warfare is up. It is. But it's not working though. I mean, not even the sensible Jamaica Labour Party supporters, the untribal ones, I doubt they would stand to be defend you. They would want to hide their face. But then again, the Jamaica Labour Party have a lot of shameless old so and so. Roll in a mud. I mean, the Everard Warmington type. Those who fight out a polling station. Those like the Prime Minister who can violence a polling station. The litany of corruption attached to surrounding this Prime Minister, no amount of defense is going to make anybody think that this Prime Minister is not a crook. But there's a broader question for the nation. The broader question is the Integrity Commission, is the Integrity Act worth what's written on paper? Is it a total waste of money? Or does it hold politicians and public officials accountable? Should we scrap the thing and just let politicians steal in peace? Should we scrap the thing and just allow politicians to steal in peace? Because we've never really had any much success from them if you're not doing VARs. If you're not doing VARs, I mean, there's no teeth in that dog's mouth, is it? Personally, I think the IC is a total waste of money and time. The gag order makes them useless. The gag order makes them useless. They have not, twice now, the Prime Minister has been referred for prosecution. And the corruption prosecutor at the IC swindled the Prime Minister out of it. Even if they go for prosecution, Paula or Claudette out here as a bed blocker also. The truth is, the people have a say in where the country goes when it comes to corruption. But if the country continues to allow a prime minister who've been mobbed by corruption, stealing across government to continue without any pushback, then of course the nation is legitimizing the corruption. The nation is legitimizing the prime minister's corruption if nobody think that they should push back protests against Andrew Holness's corruption. If you all think that the country can successfully improve with this level of corruption, I don't know where we're going. I am investigating L.A. Lewis, and I will have things to say in the near future. But I want to ask L.A. Lewis, have you ever spoken to anyone who have kidnapped any Jamaicans? Just ask him. I repeat the question. Have you ever spoken to anyone that have kidnapped any Jamaicans? I will leave that at that, and I will have more questions on that down the line. But back to the Prime Minister and in criminality and corruption. It shouldn't be strange that the Prime Minister's mother and father is now involved in the money laundering scheme. If you remember Zara Burton's investigation, it turned out Holness' underage sons were also in on the schemes and the scam. It is usual for this Prime Minister to drag his whole family along with them in criminality. Now you understand why he's dragging the whole Jamaica Labour Party underwater with him. That's the type of person the Prime Minister is. Everybody must come with me. But a me one for benefit. We want to know what the forensic team were hired to investigate. We want to know what the forensic team was hired to investigate. You can't go hire a forensic team because Prime Minister name depend account as emergency contact. That shouldn't or wouldn't have flagged money laundering, I don't think. It ought not to. Because all of us can do that. All of us can put a relative or a friend or a partner's or a child's name on our account as emergency contact. That doesn't flag money laundering. All of us do that. And we don't have to tell anyone that we've done that. So that make-up story, George Davis, that don't wash too well. Either a fool, or if the IC investigated something like that, using taxpayers' money to investigate less than $500,000, using a foreign forensic team, that would be waste of taxpayers' money. So either one on a fool, me don't know who. When the report come though, when the report has been tabled, we will know which one is the complete fool. Because we know half a fool that wall, and we know complete fool that wall. when that time come, we'll decide which one of them. But what we're not going to sup up for, Prime Minister. All right. Let's look at. We've been buffling and fuddling over what's the emergency with Matt. What's the emergency in Matt resigning from the Senate, sacking Marsha Smith from the House of Representatives, and immediately announce a by-election for Matt? We're still not able to work our head around that political move, and we still cannot see what sense that particular political move is. It's not lining with the Minister of Finance job. It's just not lining with anything. But then again, today I was thinking, and I'm saying, they knew that the reports were going to come. Could it be that this cannot work out the political reason or strategy for this single by-election when there's others long vacant before that? Could it be a prepared distraction that we weren't citing prior to the report? Could this by-election be a part of the drowning out of the report narrative? Because it really is not cutting through politically or strategically. This move is not making sense yet. It might become clearer down the line. For now, I cannot wrap my head around the move. Left for the Ministry of Finance position, which he cannot place him there because he has not got the experience or the knowledge too. So, I'm only leaning now to a pre-prepared distraction because, Wagwan Carlos, how you do? The Matt Galang in Carlos, it's not making sense, but I'm thinking, is it making sense now? Was this hurry to have a by-election campaign going a part of the planned distraction because they knew the report was coming out? Because that move, politically or strategically, is still not coming through. It might at some point, after some grandiose placement, but really for now, it cut through. But no matter what distraction the Prime Minister come with, you could have sent fly go catch mosquito, Prime Minister. We're interested in the report. We're not interested in election. We're not interested in war. None of it. What we're concerned about is the corruption in our parliament. Tanisha, how you do? The corruption in our parliament, the continuous corruption and investigation of this Prime Minister, the continuous reference of the Prime Minister for prosecution. Even though him have Paula, Claudette, and Keisha, the bed blockers of justice, to bail him out. and crookedness. So him can always have a riddle room out of justice. Time is going to catch up with you, though, Prime Minister. No amount of walla. They pick them in the pen over Twitter, walla, and scream. We know there's a thief around Prime Minister. And all of us eyes, Prime Minister, is on the thief. Because one thing you know, when there's thief in a community, everybody got their possession. Everybody, Prime Minister, guard their possession when a thief is in town. It's just naturally what we do. Just look at your government. There's a reason why Muta Baruka call you baby Trump. Look how much people were attached to Trump end up at prison. Look at the amount of people attached to your government who lose them job over thieving, Prime Minister. Isn't there some connection between you and Trump and the deadly disease of failure around you, because people tend to fail around you. You and Donald Trump, Andrew Holness, people tend to fail around you. Donald Trump, corruption, different from fear. Corruption though. But given Andrew Holness that are poor people you are steal from. A poor people you and your wife are steal from. A poor people you and your picking at them and steal from. A poor people you and your mama and steal from. A poor people you and one of your papa and steal from. Yes. There's nothing to defend. The Prime Minister is corrupt. The Prime Minister is a thief. The Prime Minister is a criminal. The Prime Minister is not fit for office. Thank you very much, the bush. I make me dizzy. Yes, we drink some Stone Crusher. We drink some Stone Crusher. I mean, like bitter thing, but that Stone Crusher is bitter. And no, I'm not drinking Horace Chang and his gang in Montego Bay. I mean the Bush Stone Crusher. Anyway, my people, may I feel dizzy, weak, and sick at the moment. So, may I go on my bed, make the bush do its work. Anyway, join me right back here tomorrow morning for your At a Glance program. And yes, we'll also have our Drive Time London as we did today over on Studio TV 385. May I go lay down, Debbie? May I go lay down, you know? But thank you all very much for being here. If you want to support the program, you can hit the like button. There is 225 of you here. I would appreciate if you could hit the button. Those of you on Global TV Studio, if you could hit the like button, please, as well as GTV Group. Can you hit the like button for us, please? Thank you very much. Join us back tomorrow, and good night from the Global Television Group.